going to show you guys how to use the MIG welder today. I'm wearing right now cotton overalls. Natural fibers are a lot better for welding. If you happen to get a hot piece of metal on you, you don't want your clothing to melt, and that's what synthetic clothing would do. So if you're wearing something that's stretchy or like leggings, those are really not ideal for welding. We do have all kinds of options over here for covering up your legs. So if you do come in clothing that doesn't work, we just end up wearing more leather basically. My shoes also are leather. And then the other thing that's important with this part of your body is that your pants can go over your shoes. If my pants were tucked into my shoes, these spaces right here actually are places where a hot metal could actually get in there. Even if you can get your shoe off in 10 seconds, you don't want to be burned for that amount of time. So if you think of the way that shingles go on a roof, the next layer goes on top. That's kind of how you want your clothing to be. You want, if something hot did get on your body, you want it to roll off to the ground, not get stuck anywhere in your clothing. This jacket protects my arms. And we will be disinfecting these, of course. We also need to spread out our use of this equipment because it's on our bodies. We can't be just grabbing a jacket and giving it to someone else. So we'll have to be using these on different days. Just wipe out the spaces in here. These helmets are adjustable. This thing turns, you have to push it in. So if you've had a bike helmet, you might be familiar with this. This is making the band around here bigger as I adjust it. So I usually get it on my head just a little bit too big and then tighten it around my forehead. You can also increase and decrease the tension of like how hard this moves up and down. If you're really like cool and into welding and you're putting your helmet up and down a lot, you can get it to a good looseness where you can just, I'm not cool apparently, where it stays up when you have it this way, but then when you're ready to weld, you can just kind of knot it down. Not necessary for what we're doing. We're going to be doing some, kind of single tack welds. The other thing that you need to wear is a welding glove. There will be sparks flying, so you want to protect your hand. This is our MIG welder right here. This needs the power switch to be turned on, so Jay or I will have to be here for you to use this. It's an on-off switch, so this is going to give you power. There we go. And then there's also a gas tank right here that needs to be turned on. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey on this, so if you turn it all the way to the right, it's closed. Always use the dial at the top here, not this dial. This is going to adjust the pressure. You don't need to make any adjustments, you just need to turn it on, like this. And you open it all the way to use it. Now this pressure should be between 35 and 40. The way that this welder works is through an electrical arc. The electricity comes through this part of the machine. What I need to do is I need to clip this onto the table so the electrical charge comes through this cord into the metal table. Steel conducts, so we have to attach it to a steel surface. And then this is what I'm going to weld right here. This is also a steel bar, and this has good contact with the table. You could not put your material on, let's say, one of these stone blocks to weld it because you would not have contact with the metal table. You wouldn't have the electrical circuit working. I'm going to be a little careful with our cords, not to be stepping on them all the time. This is the welding gun. If you look closely, there's a wire that comes out of the end of this right here when I pull the trigger right here. So that is actually what's happening. When you're welding, this wire is melting from the electrical charge and your material is also melting. The two sides plus this wire come together to make a strong bond. There's one other thing that comes out of the end of this, and that's actually the gas. When we turned on the gas tank, that's allowing the argon carbon dioxide to come out of these holes when we're welding, and it creates a barrier around the weld. And that keeps air from getting in. If you don't have your gas working properly, you're gonna have a weld that looks really holy, or like a moon crater, like it doesn't look right. If you have your gas working properly, it will look much smoother. One reason your gas wouldn't be working is if you forgot to turn it on. Another reason your gas wouldn't be working, this tip right here can get a lot of like spatter and buildup. So you can see when this is put on, if that space is all full, we're not going to have enough gas surrounding the weld. So you would need to take this off and kind of knock that out with the pliers. The next thing we need to do is figure out our settings. You can imagine that the electricity needed and the amount of wire coming out of that gun is different based on a 1/2 inch piece of steel than like an 1/8 of an inch of steel. The way that we can tell what settings we need is actually from a chart right inside of here. So if you look right here, the gas that we use, you can actually look on the tank. It is the argon CO2 mix. We have a 75-25 mix. So we're gonna look in this part of the chart right here. The wire that we use, here's the spool of wire that's feeding into the gun. This is a 0.035 wire. It says it right here. We're gonna look at the argon CO2, the 0.035, and then we have to figure out how thick our material is to find out our settings. So all of these blocks right here show material thickness. So you just put this up to it. This is a 1/4 inch rod. So that means we're gonna go down to this part to look for our settings. So argon CO2, 0.035, 1/4 of an inch. Our settings are 20/370. Here's where we enter those settings. 20 refers to the voltage. That's how much power. So I'm gonna turn this up to 20. And then 370 is the WFS, which is the wire feed speed. It's how fast this wire comes out of the gun right here. So we're gonna put this up to 270. So we are basically ready to weld now. We have our gas on, we have our settings right, we have our electrical connection to the table right here. We have a good connection with our piece right here. So we have, if you only had one little point touching, you're really not gonna make a good weld, because part of what this process is doing is melting down the material from the metal itself. And if there's not much touching, it's harder to fill with welding. We've got these great ventilation hoods here. You put this over your welding. If you imagine this copper wire running through this cord, I don't know if you've ever used a garden hose when it's kind of tight or maybe pinched. Your water doesn't come out well, right? The same thing can happen with this. We want to make sure that this has a gentle curve to it. The wire will run through it much nicer if it's not all coiled up small. You want to have about a 1/4 of an inch of wire to start with. Whatever distance you have right here is the distance that your gun starts from the material, and that distance is important. All right, so I'm going to put on my glove. This glove, here's how I'm going to hold my gun. This glove is going to be closest to where the welding is happening. This trigger finger, I can wear a glove on there. I just have trouble controlling this trigger. It's actually really sensitive. So when I have a glove on, I find I'm getting ready to weld, I accidentally bump that, I got to trim my wire again. So I have a little more control if this hand is out. But you will have hot material when you're done, so just be careful if you do decide to do it this way. Make sure your hand doesn't grab this material. I'm going to set myself up in a comfortable way. There's a lot that happens when you turn on the welder, including sparks, power. You really just need to stay calm and hold still. I like to think about almost like if I was throwing a pot, how you get your arm comfortable. Maybe if you were shooting pool, you have to be really steady. If you pull back even a little bit, the connection is lost between the voltage and this wire. These helmets are self-dimming. You can't look at an arc. It would really hurt your eyes. There's a lot of UV light involved. So think about that when you're around the room and other people are welding too. Don't look in this direction. But these are clear until you start welding, and then they suddenly dim. It's wonderful because you can get yourself set up better, you can see more, but it's a little bit off-putting the first time you do it. So maybe watch someone else's weld with a helmet on the first couple of times just so you get used to that dimming. Because like I said, there's a lot happening when you start welding. There's sparks, there's voltage, there's wire speed, there's all these things going on. And then your helmet's dimming on top of it. So really what's important is staying steady and still. And you just need to make yourself comfortable to do that, and you'll do great. for a simple weld like this, where we're just putting two tips together, all I needed to do was about 1.5 seconds, and it's actually welded together. I could flip it over and do it on the other side, but for our purposes, we just needed this ring to stay together. You can see there's a little bead there. It's nice and smooth. One other thing I wanted to show you guys in relationship to this welding gun is the contact tip. This is located inside of this piece here. What you do is take that off and then use your welding pliers. They have a little space in them right here. That can go right around this tip and unscrew. Once you get it loosened a little bit, you can just take it off with your fingers. The reason you would need to take this tip off and replace it is because eventually it will wear out, especially with beginning welders. We're gonna be spattering probably a little bit extra while we learn. And what you'll see on here is basically like a weld on the top of it, and the wire won't be able to come out. What you'll do is you'll open this little container right here, and inside will be more contact tips. They're in a container like this. You'll take a new tip, you'll put it on, screw it in, and then for the final tightening, just use the welding pliers again. You don't need to over tighten it, just give it a little bit beyond hand tightening. You'll put your tip back on. And then you will use the wire cutting portion of this, which is right in here, to trim this down just a touch and get that to that proper length for starting welding, just like that. Final steps for shutting down the welding machine include turning off the power, turning off the gas. Again, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So we go all the way to the right until this is tight. It is still gonna show pressure, that's okay. It doesn't matter. There's just some pressure in the hoses still, but that is okay to have. So as you can see, to shut this down, I'm not leaving any of the cords in the walkway. I have the electrical charge cord loosely coiled around that front handle, and I have the cord with the wire and the welding gun put away over here. Both off of the ground, both out of the walkway. Regarding the personal protective equipment, which includes foot covers, chaps, aprons, jackets, and helmets, I'd like you to keep the equipment that you've used separate so that we can keep track of which things have rested long enough. But you can wipe down the helmets. Just please don't spray the disinfectant straight into the helmet. You need to spray a rag and gently wipe the helmet. There's actually a solar panel in there, and there's a battery, so you can't just spray directly into the helmet or it will wreck it. It takes a little bit of patience. There's some safety measures involved, but I think you'll find that welding actually is pretty simple if you follow all the protocols and you stay calm. You can put two pieces of metal together in a really strong way quite quickly.